this is Friday the 25th of March, morning devotional. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike, and I'll be running through it today. So today's reading is this one. Jesus restores a demon-possessed man. It says this: they sailed to the region of Gerasenes, I've been practicing that, which is across the lake from Galilee. When Jesus stepped ashore, he was met by a demon-possessed man from the town. For a long time, this man had not worn clothes or lived in a house, but had lived in the tombs. When he saw Jesus, he cried out and fell at his feet, shouting at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you, don't torture me." For Jesus had commanded the impure spirit to come out of the man. Many times it had seized him, and though he was chained hand and foot and kept under guard, he had broken his chains and had been driven by the demon into solitary places. Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "Legion," he replied, because many demons had gone into him. And they begged Jesus repeatedly not to order them to go into the abyss. A large herd of pigs was feeding there on the hillside. The demons begged Jesus to let them go into the pigs, and he gave them permission. When the demons came out of the man, they went into the pigs, and the herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and was drowned. When those tending the pigs saw what had happened, they ran off and reported this in the town and the countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. When they came to Jesus, they found the man from whom the demons had gone out sitting at Jesus' feet, dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. Those who had seen it told the people how the demon-possessed man had been cured. Then all the people of the region of Gennesaret asked Jesus to leave them because they were overcome with fear. So he got in a boat and left. The man from whom the demon had gone out begged to go with him, but Jesus sent him away. "Return home and tell how much God has done for you." So the man went away and told all over the town how much Jesus had done for him. Okay, well, this one is a very well-known passage. So I'm going to sort of treat it slightly differently. But let's look at the facts. Okay, we have a man who was outcast and had been so for quite a long time. He was living a life of a homeless vagrant, probably dirty and unkempt, and also likely, as noted, almost certainly a social outcast. Nobody wanted to go near him. But when confronted with Jesus, the demons knew that there was no contest, and instead tried to negotiate a safe passage out and pleaded for mercy. But having delivered the man, the populace who had observed were overcome with fear and asked him to leave. That's Jesus. It said that the people were afraid. Now, what I want to look at the moment is, why were they afraid? Well, maybe because this event was out of the ordinary. It was not part of the routine. We all find security in routines and the ordinary, when we know or think we know how things are going to turn out. Daily routines don't require much faith because they are predictable. We know what's going to happen. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. So let's quickly examine the ordinary for a moment. And for this, and if Mike Ives is around, I will refer to my musicians of the day. And these are these people. This is Duran Duran. Oops. Or Duran Duran, as Tony Blackburn once referred to them as, with Simon Le Bon and all that. A new wave band who were founded in Birmingham in the late 70s, but made their mark later, mainly in the 80s and 90s, and are still going strong, although they've filled out a bit. One of their later tracks, and a favourite of theirs, was called Ordinary World, came out in the early 90s. The chorus goes like this: "And I don't cry for yesterday. There's an ordinary world somehow I have to find. And as I try to make my way to the ordinary world, I will learn to survive." So the lyrics are really about living in an ordinary world and making the most of that ordinary world. And the ordinary world is the thing we take for granted until it's no longer there. It is only then that we realize how valuable it actually is. Nazanin Zaghari Radcliffe returned home last week after 6 years of hell in an Iran jail. The first thing she reportedly wanted was a cup of tea and to be able to take her young daughter to school for the first time. This is an ordinary world which we all enjoy, that she now cherishes deeply. Making a cup of tea is normal to us, but is very special to her. And can any parent imagine not being able to take and meet their children from school? For me, circumstances mean that my routine has changed. But what Nazanin has reminded me of is this: that the mundane and the ordinary world are in fact very precious and are to be cherished. Never take them for granted. I had COVID recently, and yesterday I could go out again for the first time. I could go to the supermarket and pick what I wanted. My return to the ordinary world was somehow special. Sarah Rainsford, a BBC Eastern European correspondent, article is entitled "A Month in Ukraine, All Normal Life is Gone." Their ordinary world has been cruelly destroyed, and the supermarket shelves are empty. They wish for what they once had. Look at Psalm 46 and you'll find a series of laments harking back to an ordinary world that has been lost to the Israelites. However, in our passage today, the routine or ordinary world of those around had been interrupted by an abnormal event, and it had caused some fear and unrest. This disruption to the routine in today's passage comes about when Jesus casts out a spirit and allows it to transfer into a herd of pigs. Now, does anyone remember Richie, the resident chef in West Central prior to the lockdown? He once asked me why Jesus was so unkind to the farmer in consigning his pigs to their deaths, causing him to lose his assets and maybe his livelihood. Any answers on that? Well, I wasn't sure on this one. So when in doubt, consult an expert. And just such a person was this Sunday's preacher, Ian Brown. And he said this: the pigs were considered unclean by the Jews, so they may have been chosen for that reason. However, what about the poor farmer? Well, we don't really know, but we trust that what happened was best for all concerned. And after all, Jesus was involved in this. So routines and ordinary worlds can be interrupted for good as well as bad reasons. For the bad, look no further than the examples I've already quoted. However, the abnormal events in our reading, which shattered the ordinary world of those around, the casting out of the demon, was a thing of good. And in doing so, the man was restored back into his ordinary world from a place of hell. The BBC World Affairs editor, John Simpson, says that all wars will eventually come to an end. We pray that that will soon be the case for the people of Ukraine. And we give thanks for Nazanin Zaghari Radcliffe's deliverance back into an ordinary world. So to conclude, the lesson I learned from this passage is this: as we make our way in this ordinary world, let us be prepared to allow the security and the certainty of it to be broken for the benefit of others, so that outcasts like the demon-possessed man, however frightening and disrupting, can be delivered and saved. And that's my thought for today.